Hi, this is Joe again with another review. And for the start of this video, I'm going to be discussing one of the most infamous uh, live broadcasts ever on television, which is, of course, the 1986 Geraldo Rivera special, The Mystery Behind Al Capone's Vault. Yes, I'm actually going to go there. Excuse me. This special, of course, was a 2-hour syndicated special. Of course, in those days, we had a lot of syndicated specials and syndicated television movies back then. Of course, because it was in 1986, it was just before, like a year before the Fox network came on the air. So we still had only three networks: ABC, NBC, and CBS. And so, of course, some of the other channels, we had three independent stations. Well, here in New York anyway, the channel WNEW Channel 5, that was as called as then, WOR TV Channel 9, which was a satellite station, and the last independent station was WPIX Channel 11. Now Channel 11 here in New York is now part of the CW network. And of course Channel 5 is part of the Fox network here in New York, and Channel 9 was originally became the UPN network in '95, and then it's now part of my network TV. So I digress. WPX Channel 11 here in New York aired this special for two hours. It was a live show from Chicago. Now, of course, Al Capone was, of course, one of the most infamous gangsters, the most famous gangster. And he's one of the most famous gangsters of all time, and killed hundreds of people, and had his headquarters in a hotel, in this particular hotel in Chicago. And of course, it was a long abandoned hotel, and of course they were preparing to demolish it. Well, preparing, I don't know if it has been demolished since then. I really don't know, because I did try to do research on it, and it didn't look like it was being, I don't know if it's been demolished since then. But while it was being prepared to be demolished, they found like this huge, vast tunnel system in the basement of this hotel in, I think it was called Roosevelt Hotel, I believe it was, in Chicago. This vast tunnel system with secret staircases and various rooms that have been closed off during renovation, after when Al Capone was captured and stuff like that, and rumors that there were like secret vaults in these rooms that was closed off, and maybe possibly there was stuff that Capone or his boys hid in there. So this word came out, and Geraldo Rivera came in and said, "Hey, I got an idea. Let's do this TV show. We open up these vaults, or knock these walls down, and we see what's in there." So, and this was like about a year. Let's get it from here. This was like about a year after he was fired from ABC, from ABC News, because he was fired from there because he allegedly he did a story about a possible rumor that John Kennedy had an affair, or JFK had an affair with Marilyn Monroe, which over the years had been proven. Yes, he had an affair with Marilyn Monroe, along with his brother Bobby also had an affair with her. So, because ABC got mad at him for it because they didn't air that story, Geraldo Rivera got mad and criticized him for it, and he was since got fired. So to get even, I guess in a way to get even with them, he decided to do this story. Say, hey, we'll get to jump on ABC News and doing this live television show. Well, for 2 hours, they'd be trying to knock. They had this construction crew in there who demolished a couple of walls in. They put this Bobcat bulldozers in there and all that stuff, and they found nothing. Over 2 hours of hype, and only 2 hours of hype, but they were hyping this show. And you can find I'm sure you can find on YouTube the little news stories hyping this thing, hyping this 2 hours special. I know that in previous video I discussed the VH1 series I Love the 80s. Well, one of these versions, there were three different versions of the I Love the 80s series. One of them had talked about the special, and they found nothing in the vault. So, they, which is what they happened. Well, the interesting part of the show is that they actually had, in between the live segments, they had like this little stories that Geraldo Rivera did. Those were very, very good. Uh, Discussing the history of Al Capone, how he came to power, how he was brought down, where he spent his time in prison, including, of course, Alcatraz, for about 5 years. And then was eventually taken out. After 5 years, he was taken out because his health was declining, because he had syphilis. And he died in a prison hospital, actually, from syphilis, actually. He caught it from his mistress. Or one of his many mistresses had syphilis, and he caught it from her, and the hospital, the doctors he had at that time weren't all that good, and of course he talked about 1930s medicine hit people, and the medication that wasn't as good as, of course, it is now in 2017, and he eventually died from it. So, of course, when they did try and go back to live parts to see where the construction was going on, and of course, like you just mentioned, they found nothing. All they did was they found a couple empty bottles, and mostly dirt and debris and bricks falling over, and these, like I mentioned, this tunnel system, and of course, Geraldo Rivera became a national joke for a long time until his television show started, his original talk show started, and he became a national joke. And the funny thing is that Geraldo has said in an interview, which is posted on YouTube, talking about this incident, and believe it or not, but the next morning he got like over 20 job offers, because of this, because even though the ending was a complete bust, because he didn't find anything, he actually got job offers because he did a good enough job at hyping the story and telling the backstories of the vault, and like I said, Al Capone's life. And the funny thing about one of the the live segments was that Doug Llewellyn, of course, is known as the the courtroom reporter on the people, or the hallway reporter for the visual one of the People's Court, and thankfully he came back last year in 2016. In September 2016, he came back doing his job after not being there for over 20 years. Came back on the show and be the hallway guy. Anyway, he was actually not only that, but he was also one of the producers of the show, which is also kind of funny as well, because I never known him as a TV producer. But he also did a segment, interview people where you think we're finding there, and believe it or not, was one of the people who grew up at the time of Capone in Chicago, during his reign of terror in Chicago, says, I don't think you're going to find anything in there. And which kind of put like a hex of what we're going to find. I do remember watching it, I remember at the time saying, oh, this thing is boring. Because you don't really... Well, you know they're putting on the show, they're going to see what's in there. But, like I said, throughout the whole thing, you really didn't see anything except for maybe secret passageways and secret staircases that Capone used when he thought, or was tipped off that it was going to be raided by the cops or by LENS or whomever. That's what you saw, and that was kind of interesting. But especially if you want to know the history of Al Capone and the history of the gangsters in Chicago, that would be interesting. But you want to actually see what's in the vault, and you saw nothing. And this was the days before the internet, and if this thing had today instead of 31 years ago, people would bashed people bashed all of that, and there was a clip of The Simpsons where they made a joke over it, that there was not who or the homeless was at piano writing a song about it, and he said it was not who all those for. And he goes, "Don't," and of course the biggest joke about the whole, and this thing came like 11 years later, when the movie James Cameron movie Titanic came out in 1997. Of course, the premise of the movie was Bill Paxton's character was Mr. Lovett, Lovett, who was his name, to look for this diamond that Rose had. He found the safe, or Cal Hockley's safe that he dragged around with. They brought up to the surface. They brought on the research ship. They cracked open the safe, and they didn't find the diamond in it. So you had the guy Lewis, the fat guy with the beard, and the smart ass in the movie. I consider him the smart ass in the movie. He come up with the smart ass remarks. He says, "Boss, the same thing happened to Geraldo, and his career never recovered." And that line got a big laugh, because that's in reference to the Al Capone vote. And the funny thing is, it was like 11 years earlier, and a lot of people have forgotten about it, because it was, like I said, it was 11 years earlier. But now it's 31 years ago now. And the special aired on April 21st, 1986. And of course, 30 years later, Geraldo gave an interview on Fox News, saying that he got like stinking drunk that night because he didn't find anything, and he was so bummed out that he was hungover by the time the thing was over. He got stinking drunk, and of course the next morning he didn't want anything from anybody, and the guy who delivered the room service, for breakfast the next morning, after the show here, says it's okay. And the guy who delivered the room service, it's okay, guy. And he gave Geraldo a message. He got like over 20 messages, like I said, and a lot of them were job offers. And the people on ABC who fired him the year before, they were laughing their asses off that Geraldo found nothing in the vault. And of course, a little more than 2 years later, of course, he had the famous talk show, and he got his nose broken by skinheads. So you can see that episode on YouTube as well of his talk show. And those were the two things that for a long, long time that Geraldo was known for. That is, not finding anything in the vault and his getting the nose broken. I know people bring that stuff up from today. But of course, for a long, long time, those were the two things that Geraldo Rivera was known for, was not finding anything in the vault and his nose his nose was broken by skinheads. And the reason why you were talking about the vault special was because I just found this show on YouTube, and it was posted like last August in 2016. And so I was very, very surprised to even find anybody having this show, because I'm having a tough time finding the full version of the Elvis conspiracy shows. I only found like an hour version of it. So that's why I haven't done a review on that yet, because I try and find like a full version of it, and those were also live syndicated shows. But at the time that the Geraldo Rivera Al Capone Vote show was the highest rated syndicated show ever, and it still holds that rank because there's no more syndicated channels anymore or independent stations anymore to air a show like this, because they're even the stations around the United States who used to be independent stations, or part of some network, either the Fox network, CW, or My Network TV nowadays. So there's not really any independent stations anymore, which is a shame, because that's where they used to have air shows like this, or reruns of old television shows, cartoons, whatever. That's what's missing for television today is on these independent stations. I mean, it's a shame because it's like a lost part of television history, and that's what Al Capone. It was part of television history, even though the ending was not that. Like I said, it didn't follow the hype. Like, the show was well made, even though, like I said, nothing was found. But I do recommend people watch the show on YouTube. I mean, and you can't find it on YouTube. And I do recommend people see the show, especially those who weren't alive back then. The cast of the show and see it was well made, but the execution was A+, but the finish was like, well, okay, I'm not going to give it an F. I'm going to give it like a Z because it was that low of a rating you could give it, because, like I said, nothing was found, and it was, like I said, Juan Rivera was a joke for a long time until his television show came on, and then when he had the fight on the skinheads on the show, when the fight broke out. Of course, these were the days before Jerry Springer set up fights. I mean, that was an actual fight. A lot of people thought it was set. Well, that's another discussion for another day, and that's why I'm cutting myself off, because in talking about the Al Capone thing, I'm talking about the skinhead thing. Hold on, maybe you'll make another video for that some other time, but that the Al Capone thing is definitely one of the most infamous shows. Unfortunately, I didn't stay up to see the whole thing. I saw most of it, but not the end of it. I asked my father, I said, what, next day, I asked my parents the next day, I said, did they find anything? What did they find? And my father said they found nothing. It was like an empty space. It's like an empty basement space. If you go in the basement in your house or apartment building, and you see an empty space, that's what you found. An empty basement. I said, all that hype and you're saying, and they said, found nothing? I said, yeah. And I said, everybody was talking about I was in high school at the time. Everybody was talking about it, everybody was making fun of Juan Rivera because of, you didn't find anything. So I have a review of the mystery of Al Capone's vault. Please click on the video, please read it. Feel free to comment on. Please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video to your Facebook pages. You can check out all my videos on my YouTube channel at rallyc.com. There's also WDY.com. There's a homepage of the Rally Reviewer, Christine Moore, and please check out all of his content as well as his website. And you can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter. So please do so, and please, if you have any suggestions for any videos online or topics that you'd like to see my take on, please make suggestions. Please make suggestions on my Facebook page or my Twitter account. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.